Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel for my regular video covering the development of Project Zomboid. Specifically in this video, we'll be talking about the Thursdoid blog post that was dropped on July 6th of 2023. Now interestingly, this is exactly 30 years to the day that the Nox event occurred in Kentucky, according to the game's lore. Nice little tidbit of information for you there. If you find the information from this video useful, enjoy the summary, or want to see more videos like this one, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, 30 years on from the Nox event, the developers have actually opened a Twitter page commemorating the event too, which is going to be giving a text-based timeline of how the outbreak went down in Project Zomboid. It's worth a look if you want to see a bit more of how the fictional world of Project Zomboid reacted to the Nox event. Moving on from that though, as we've got a whole bunch of stuff to go through today, the devs kicked off this post by taking a look at the technical upgrade coming in build 42. Specifically, we're talking about the engine upgrade here. This is what will be the driving force for allowing systems like basements, the increase in floors both above and below ground level, the new light propagation system, and so on. The developers remind us that under the new system, they are able to cache 8x8 tile chunks, which speed up the drawing speeds dramatically, which increases performance massively as a result in many cases, with the developer's own machine averaging 300 FPS when zoomed out to maximum during testing. Now, according to the devs, however, the downside of this was that the lighting on tiles in front of players could not be changed, which has up until this point been used to represent the viewing arc of the character and their current line of sight. Doing this with the upgraded engine would invalidate cached chunks, which in turn would render the optimizations effectively useless because it has to redraw them again anyway. Now, I'm not going to go into as much detail as the blog post goes into here, but there was originally a replacement for this, which you're seeing on screen now. This video was shown quite some time ago in an old blog, which shows the use of a viewing cone that was drawn over the screen to indicate what parts of the screen your character could see. However, the developers have been working on a new system that they say will give all of the same information as the last system, but without any extreme consequences to FPS. This system is on screen for you in the background footage now. Line of sight information and details on what the character can or cannot see are much clearer in this version than the last. The developers are now experimenting with different levels of visibility and blur to try and make sure there is clear information given to the player without being overbearing to the point it distracts them. So finally, this last clip, which will be on screen now, shows where the developers are up to with this progress. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about this final version of the lighting system down in the comments. Is it too eye-catching or immersion breaking? Is it too soft to the point you wouldn't notice what your character can or cannot see? Or is it just right? Let me know. Now, next up in this dev blog, a frankly massive teaser for the upcoming map expansion in build 42. Some of you have likely already seen some of the newish unfinished areas of the map that we covered a little while ago right here on the channel, and in this dev blog we're given this image. We can make out all of the existing areas of the Project Zomboid map, including those unfinished ones I just mentioned, with a gigantic extra area that's been blurred out. This, according to the dev blog, is the new area of the map coming to the game in build 42. To give you some context on quite how large this area is, the Louisville expansion covered 56 cells. This blurred area will cover a whopping 430 cells. 430. Excited is an understatement when it comes to describing quite how much I'm looking forward to wandering around this new area of the map. Testing is currently ongoing, and whilst errors and bugs are being identified and rectified, the team are working on revamps for existing map areas in the meantime. Alright, so moving on from the map expansion, we're into Sandbox Settings next. The developers start off this section by reminding us that a new sandbox menu is in the works because the current system, over the years, has become a bit messier than intended, especially when you start to think about mods and the extra sections that they add to the settings as well. As such, Ateron has been working on improving and redesigning the main menu UI. The developers also note here that nothing is final, and they are actively looking for feedback from both modders and players. So again, if you want to leave some thoughts or feelings in the comments, please feel free to do so. I'm sure the developers will be incredibly grateful for it. In this footage, we see some new additions like the facility to turn on and off advanced versions of some of the settings, which allows for precise manipulation of figures rather than using terms like rare or extremely rare. There's also a search function now, which is going to be the holy grail for any server owners out there that have to go through various settings for new setups all the time, myself included, and I absolutely love that. In a similar vein, the mod menu is being given a rework as well. There's some new filter options that allow you to search by particular mods, like, for example, map mods. You can favorite mods to help filter them down, and there's a new search function as part of this menu as well, which is just the icing on the cake, really. As someone that plays a lot of varied Project Zomboid setups, scrolling through the mod list every time I wanted to set up a new playthrough was a bit of a pain, so once again, I'm fully behind this implementation and can't wait for it to land. There's even going to be a compatibility indicator which will show you exactly which mods won't play nice with one another. New information will be displayed in the new version of the menu, such as the author, mod category, icons, incompatibility, and much more besides that. Next up, Ateron will be looking into a way to identify mod load orders, which should essentially make it easier for servers to automatically identify what order mods need to be loaded in, rather than a trial and error approach that is so frequent at the moment. That brings us nicely to the last section of this dev blog, which goes back to those new audio effects we can expect for our characters in Build 42, such as groans, grunts, wheezing, and all that fun stuff. The first results from the recording sessions are now properly in-game, according to the developers, with some new, very positive feedback coming from internal testers that are playing around with these effects. I'll leave a couple of clips playing for you guys here that will show you some of the new male and female sound effects we can expect, but I gotta say, I'm impressed. It sounds great, and it fits with the game from what I've heard so far. The developers do leave one note here that for demonstration purposes, these sound effects are occurring much more frequently in these clips than they will in the final product, and things will be toned down significantly. See what you think. So that's it from me in this one, folks, and that's it for this Thursdoid. But as always, if there's anything you're particularly looking forward to from this post or have some thoughts, please do let me know in the comments. With this one especially, the devs are after some feedback, and I know they'll be keeping an eye on videos like this one for some of that feedback, so don't be shy. Finally, a very special thank you, as always, to my Patreon supporters for backing the channel, putting some support towards our modding projects, and for joining us on the whitelisted Project Zomboid server that we have set up for our patrons. You're all awesome, and I couldn't do this without you. Thanks, folks, and I'll see you all in the next one.